No, the stream broke. But it's come back. The internet's on the fritz, but we bloody fixed it. Died completely. And then came back, right? I reckon the internet's come back now. All good. All fixed. Bloody hell. Oh no. YouTube's gone ahead and made that a VOD of its own. Did you just get a notification for that? I hope it fixes it and makes it all one thing. Otherwise, I'll be livid, mate. Spewing. Sorry, Shadow. It's back. It's back on both. It should be back. I'm really sorry. That's really annoying. I hate when that happens. Spoiler, it won't. Damn it. Twitch does it. Twitch is quite clever about that stuff. Hey, Bean Professional. We just got a bunch of people come in who aren't aware that I stream on YouTube, who just found the stream for the first time. I should make the stream crash more often. So, it wasn't that. It wasn't the stripping. Alright, let's... Shall we do like a bit of a... What's the word? A recap? Do you know what? I gotta take a break. It's gotta be the thing. Hey, NOA3, the YouTube stream is up now again. They're both up. Paired programming, kind of. Don't forget ads. Yeah. I won't forget. I just have to explain like what the hell's going on. Ah, thank you, Writer's Block. Okay, here's the situation. There is some code in the WebGL version, which I don't really care about, except for the fact that it's getting in the way of the alpha test. The code in the WebGL version is the code that handles friction for the main character. So the fact that he's sliding around this much is not supposed to happen. That code, we haven't been able to find out why it's not running on the WebGL version. Except for the fact that it belongs to this thing, late fixed update handler. So what this does is it calls an event, basically, that everything that observes this event, they get called their version when it does its thing. So either the event is not working at all, or things aren't being subscribed to it, or who knows what. Have you tried using a physics material? For reasons that are exclusively tied to the fact that my game is like a very specific action game, I turn on and off physics, aspects of the physics, constantly. So basically, the players, the friction is totally dependent on the animation. Like I might want the character to slow down in a different way in different contexts, or not slow down at all. So in the air, I don't want linear drag. I only want linear drag when you're on the ground. We could have a race condition. Yeah, that's probably true. What's the implementation of late fixed update? You're looking at it. This is the implementation. It's an inline class that just derives from Unity event. So it could be execution order. But late fixed update handler, I'm willing to bet 7 million berries that we are resolving this with script execution order settings such that late fixed update handler is basically the last thing. Yeah. How often is it called? It's called every fixed update. You can see it here. This is a Unity, this function, fixed update, is called on every mono behavior in Unity. Every mono behavior in the scene has this. It does make the awake later, but we are adding to it on start, not on awake. So you don't have to worry about that. The thing is, this stuff that we're describing, it would, if what you guys were saying was right, it would break in the editor as well as on WebGL. Have you tried just update rather than fixed update? What I'm doing here is kind of a little bit above just like putting it somewhere else and seeing if it works. When you're 7 years into making an action game, there are very specific reasons why certain things are updated on a certain basis. And in this case, what I'm doing is you have to understand when it comes to friction, right? Assigning friction needs to happen last. It needs to be the very, very, very last thing that happens because you don't know if something else is going to change the character's velocity somewhere else. So I've got like behavior scripts, I've got animation stuff that can change their velocity. There could be some, if the character's getting thrown by an enemy, that could change the velocity. There's lots of different ways that the character's velocity can change within a frame. Okay, even things like sliding down a hill. The only way to catch all of that and say, I'm just going to apply some friction now under these specific conditions. And that's the other thing, because I've got conditional friction. Okay. What we're talking about is ground friction. And ground friction only gets applied when the character is standing in like a mobile state. So a state where, sorry, not mobile, like a state where their position over time is not being managed directly by the state that they're in. So basically idling and stuff like that. Then I'm applying this like global kind of friction. I probably could assign a physics property to linear drag. In this case, I probably could do it. But for my money, like for what I'm trying to do, which is literally just assign, I just want to decay the velocity by a certain amount every frame. That's all I really want to do. It's not that complicated. And linear drag will do this. Like, I suppose we could just set the linear drag to be either 0 or a number that corresponds to this every frame. We could do that, but this works. So I don't know why it's just not working on the WebGL version. Hey, Jims. Welcome. That's right, Shadow and Run. Yeah. So the log text not being set basically means that applied ground friction is not being called, which basically means that late fixed update's not being called. I'm pretty certain that that's the way to think about it. Because the other thing that we would do is, this align velocity to ground. That's also something we can check for. So actually, here's what we could do. Yeah, you can see it's not being called there. See how he falls off the slope as you run? Oh, I can't use the cheat. Hang on. Yeah. Check it out. As you run off the slope, see how he falls off the slope? In my current implementation, you don't fall off slopes. You run down slopes. And the only way that gets called, the only way that gets managed, is this. So that means that none of this is being called, which means that this isn't being called, which means that either the event isn't being called or the event isn't reaching the callback. But I bet it's the latter. It's very annoying, isn't it? Can you call the function manually at the end of fixed update? Yeah, but that's going to fix it. We don't want to fix it. Because the problem is that self-awareness needs to be doing some stuff when at normal time and some stuff late. I don't want everything that this function, that this class does to happen at the very end of the frame. I only want that thing to happen at the end of the frame. So the other way we could do this, you know what? Do you know what? It might be time. Okay, I have a solution that allows us to basically delete late fixed update altogether. What we could do is take this code and put it on a different script and put that on fixed update, but have the script's execution order be at the end of the frame. That's the other way to do it. David James. So we could just avoid this issue altogether. But then the question is, why is this issue happening? Why is it happening? Because it feels like it should be no problem. Right? It feels like this should be a no-brainer. You like my deep state function name? America. Machine guns. Best to consider root cause. I think so. I think it behooves us to solve this problem, regardless of whether or not we can get around it. Deep state machine, brother. What do you reckon, guys? I mean, it could be a WebGL problem, but like, that's the whole. We need to be on WebGL for this test, for the alpha. Like, I suppose Batty. Well, the thing is, we know it's a WebGL problem because it doesn't happen in the editor. So whether or not it is a WebGL problem is kind of none of our concern. We still need to be able to fix it on WebGL by being more gentle or whatever, by being more careful with however we're implementing this. My question now actually is more about where that script lives. Like, where is late fixed update? Late fixed update handler. Where does that live? Is it in game system? Like, where is this? It's not in the scene. That sounds dangerous. But if I play the scene, it probably will create a Aha, it's in my game system. Okay. So this gets instantiated. I'm gonna try something. Let's try to do it from the title screen. This actually might not be a WebGL issue. It's not a WebGL issue. It's a starting the game from the title screen issue. It's a singleton issue, is what it is. By God. Hey, Mellow Codes. Welcome. I am streaming on YouTube and Twitch. Okay. Gosh. Well, it's good that we found that, okay? It's really, really, really good. So, now the question is... Oh, I'm such an idiot. I'm such an idiot. It's probably a second singleton instance. Look at how lazy I was. I'm not resetting it properly, you guys. That's what I needed to do. Actually, I shouldn't have had to do that, but I'm happy that I did it now. Because it lives on a singleton. Oh my God, that did fix it though. Fuck. I'm so sorry, pals. All that work. Oh no. It works now. God damn it. That's so... It's so embarrassing. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Ah. Right in the developer pride. Oh, so sorry, guys. I'm such an idiot. Oh, oh. I need to wash my mouth out. The taste is so bad. Oh, I'm such an idiot. All right. Well, it's good to know we fixed it. Jeez Louise. Let me get rid of all that nonsense testing that we were doing now. Damn it. That's so stupid. Oof. How embarrassing. WebGL did nothing wrong. I know. And you know what? Let's turn on engine stripping. Let's turn it back on. It's probably doing something good and I turned it off. All right. Fixes friction. Fixes singleton duplication issue with late fixed update handler. Push that boy. Is there a Discord to report bugs? There sure is. You can find it in the description. Oh man. How embarrassment. Alright, well, you can all look forward to a new build. I'm gonna take a break. Look at all those commits. You think I'm look at this. That's from the 1st of January. But danger, unfortunately. Not danger. Is it danger? Is Adam Smith danger? Unfortunately, we in order to get the repo on GitHub from Bitbucket, I had to reset the repo altogether. So it only goes as far back as the 21st of December. But I was committing multiple times a day. I'm a good boy now. All right, everyone. We're gonna go take a quick break. You can help me out. Make sure Insignia becomes a reality by watching an ad. That's all you have to do. Just chill out while I take a break, and I'll be back before you know it. I'll see you in a little bit, and yeah, enjoy. Hey, we're back. What's happening? Wow. What is happening here? Excuse me? Internet Tito has given out 5, 10, 10 community gifted subs. Thank you so much. And then one more. Thank you. 26. Have I read that correctly? Thank you so much. You're making me do maths here. But thankfully my arithmetic is better than my debugging. It didn't take me 2 hours to do that. Thanks, man. Okay. So, where were we? We were doing a build. What? It failed? Wait, what? What? Excuse me? That's never happened before. Failure. Do we get a memory leak? What's built? What is 133? What do you say we just restart it? What do you say we just do it again? Just do it again. Hey Zip Dog, how's it going? All right. I don't want to animate this today. I feel like I'm not on, like I'm not here, present enough for it. But what I am present for is this tile set. I think, anyway. I'm streaming on 2 platforms, that's right. Smacking some balls. Hey, I would love to. Do you know what? I've got like I've got a putter here. We could do some sort of in-stream putting challenge. Lee Carvalho's putting challenge live on stream. You have selected power drive. Actually, no, there were 2 things today we were going to do that I agreed with Swizz that we would do. Okay. Let's back it up. First thing, we're going to talk about an idea that I had. Okay? And then we're going to talk about a job we have to do. So, the first thing is the idea that I had. I made a game some time ago called Arrowbound. Okay? I'm in the process of putting it back on Android, but it's basically an Android game where you play as this little dude who's like stuck to his bow and arrow, and it's a little platformer. I had a thought. Why don't we have an on-stream game where people can spend channel points to get like 1 chance at like flinging the little guy? Almost like chat plays Arrowbound kind of thing. Yeah, Twitch plays Arrowbound. And like you get like a little quadrant, like a little region around him and it's like alphanumeric. So it's like you know, he's like here, and then there's like this, and then you see like, you know, 0 to 9, and then you see A to I don't know, what's the 10th letter of the alphabet? J? K. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Okay, to J. And then this is like a little grid, and then you type in how far you want the game to pull back the thing so that it releases it. Sorry, I'm tired. I haven't slept very well the last few days. My ability to think is like in the pooper. If you didn't notice, based on today, we do say Z. That's correct. Q, R, S, T, V, W, X, Y, and Z. I'm okay. Okay. So this is something that we could totally do. That's like, this is like a little mini game we could put on, and it would be cool to make it sort of, what do you think? Would it be more fun for it to be something that sits on the stream, like in the center third of the stream? Like I bring it up and then you guys type it in and then it works? Or to be something more abstract where like it's like a plugin that lives over the stream, where the character and the block you're trying to reach are kind of like just, there's no background, there's no level. It's just like, there's you and there's where you're trying to go and you have to try to hit it. If you've watched like Nick Waz's channel, Nick Waz has a similar thing that's like basketball, where like you fling the little thing and you try to hit it inside the hoop, but it's just like abstract. It's just like it's a screen overlay. Whereas like we could just like fire up an instance of the game. How often should it happen? I mean, you know, once or twice a stream. Yeah, like I could even put it on the far left-hand side of the screen. You know, it could sit. In fact, let's do it even better. I'll do you one better, pals. Check it out. In fact, even better. Like that. It could literally sit in the screen like that and just pop up, and then one of you takes a shot. And then, you know, while I'm working on something in the middle third of the screen, so it would be like an app basically that appears. I think we could do it. That would be pretty easy to do as well. And I could do like a local kind of like WebGL version of the game that just loads up the current state that you're in. Like it wouldn't be like the full game. It would just be like a browser source that's just like a persistent thing. Could make it like a Plinko board. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, like I forget sometimes that I'm a game developer, and all the stuff that's in the stream I could just make a game out of. But yeah, and also that I made this game already. Like the game exists and we could be playing it. So yeah, I mean, I actually did have plans for this to be a stream game, like a game that where like there was going to be a Steam version, and the Steam version would have like an overlay where the stats of like your playthrough would sit off on the outer thirds of the game. But I even had ideas about you guys submitting levels to me, like where we could actually have like the players, like chat, designing the levels. But that's a bit far gone at this point. Anyway, that was the first thing I thought I'd just get your appetite on. The other thing that we have to talk about today has to do with the future of the alpha, okay? And the future of this stream and the community engagement with the stream. So right now, we have a bunch of different platforms where people can engage with the stream, and your ability to sort of like, you know, become patrons of the stream and of the project of Insignia, they're all a bit scattered. But I want for you to all, no matter where it is that you engage with Indie Tales and with Insignia, I want that to be able to, you know, be very clear and to be rewarding and enjoyable. So what we're going to talk about today is tiers, and I'm hoping that I can actually get you guys to help me collaborate on this, or I'm hoping you could collaborate with me on this a little bit, because I want your opinions on like what these should be. Now, we're not going to be talking about like dollar values for the tiers or anything like that. We're just going to be talking about the kinds of rewards and how that's going to work. So, for example, we have Twitch, we have Patreon, and we have YouTube. These two are obviously stream centric. And this is more, I guess, like community slash, how would you put it? Community centric, I guess we'll call it that. So like people who support me on Patreon, they're not getting immediate access to the streaming platform, right? They're not getting deeper insight into that. Did Chipsel not make the game Super Hexagon, you mean? Yeah. So Discord, we're going to get there. Discord kind of lives here. Now, what we're talking about here specifically has to do with the alpha access. Alpha, or we'll call it community access. Not you, Google. Go away. Okay. So, there's more than this, actually. There's also itch.io assets that I make. And currently, Patreon is the only way that you can get discounts on assets. Okay. So, this gives us, hey buddy. Clinkers, says Snow Shinobi. Hey, what color, Snow Shinobi? Thanks, Denton. Thanks for the follow. The choices are pink, green, and yellow. Green, okay. Ta-ta-da-da-da! You did it! Congrats! When you know what kind of Easter egg you want, let us know. Snow? Oh no. We'll have Swizz if you're able to follow that up. I'd be grateful if you could do that. Okay. So someone said, why are you so focused on the WebGL build for alpha testing purposes? You can DM me. Yeah, that's fine too. I'll add it if you DM me. So, the idea is that right now, these platforms, I guess like, we could break this up a little bit further. Behind the scenes content, itch.io assets. You also get names and credits. Okay. So, this is kind of where we're at right now. Now, I should also mention, did we get this going? Did it fix? I don't think it ran the second time. I'm gonna have to figure out why that's failed. That's very unsettling. Twice now. Try again. I don't know if it did try to run the second time, but maybe it did. Anyway, so this is the discussion that I want to have with you guys. Okay. For those of you who are on each of the different platforms, what are your preferences or ideas about what your expectations are in terms of like whether or not we should do something like this, where you have Everywhere is the same. Tiers based on support amount. So our options are Twitch, YouTube, and Patreon are all the same, and you all get access to all the same content no matter where you support. Or we do it where we say rewards focused on place of support. Each is different. All right, we separate them. So for example, there are some things that make sense, like on Twitch, right? If you're a Twitch sub, then you have privileges on Twitch. You don't get ads on Twitch. If you're a YouTube member, you know, you may get other I don't know exactly what the privileges are of being a YouTube member, but we don't have the membership set up here yet. This is part of why we're actually having this conversation, because I've got to set them up soon, now that we've got a YouTube stream. And one of the suggestions is that we make Patreon a sort of special extra place. So yes, you can sub on Twitch. Yes, you can be a member on YouTube. But should Patreon be somewhere else where people who want to like really get kind of closer to the project and, you know, sort of have a priority position? Should we relegate or reserve Patreon for that? And if that's the choice we make, then should alpha access be limited, like primary alpha access be limited to patrons, and then maybe we have YouTube and Twitch subs as like a second tier? So that's it basically. Is Patreon like a first class citizen, and YouTube and Twitch slightly lower when it comes to the alpha specifically, and they have their own perks independently? That's what other people normally do. Yeah, I think so. I think that makes sense to do it that way. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure whether or not you guys felt this way, because the other way to do it, the way I was describing earlier, is we just aggregate everything into the one bucket. So whether you're a member on YouTube or on Twitch or on Patreon, you get a Discord role, and that Discord role is your key to the deeper thing. Okay, internet. Okay, well that sounds good then. I mean, it seems like there's a lot of agreement here that Patreon being its own place where we can support and be like kind of show special interest. And what do we think about having yeah, I mean, I guess it works. Okay, that being said, now here's my next question. On YouTube, what do you think, for those of you who are watching on YouTube specifically, well, are you members of other channels? And if you are, what kinds of benefits do you expect to see on a YouTube membership? That's the thing I'm really curious about, because I've never done YouTube memberships before, and the stream is primarily Twitch based. So some of the things that we do on Twitch, I can prioritize Twitch subs when we do that. I can give them special perks and badges and stuff like that. I don't know what the equivalents are on YouTube, and I don't know what the expectation is. So, like, are you guys happy to just get emotes and badges, or are there other levels of, you know, of benefits that you expect? I noticed there was like a shout out feature to regular members, so that like when someone shows up in chat who's a member, I can get notified and call them out and say hi. There's also priority messaging. Like, there are features there. So that's another one. Hey, Chosinger, thank you so much. Oh, we had a poll. I didn't see it. It didn't show up on stream. How did that poll go? The one sec. I should open up another. Someone tell me the results of that. Three votes. 0 for separate. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I think everyone seems to be agreeing that they should be separate. So, if it's just badges... No, it's okay, Lazy. It's all good. I've pretty much made up my mind. If it's just badges that we're handing out and emotes, I mean, we could definitely replicate the same stuff from Twitch to YouTube. Okay. I mean, fair enough. What rewards would you like to see on Patreon other than Alpha Access? Yeah, it's a fair question as well. Like, for those of you who aren't patrons and who... This is a funny one because for me, I've always felt like the patrons who sign up, they're more motivated by just helping support than by getting something. But are there any of you who like would want to be a patron under specific circumstances? Hey internet, thank you so much for the gifted subs. Like, we were talking about behind the scenes content earlier. So like, for example, blogs, like character, bios, environment, bios, world lore. So like basically an inside look into the game in areas that may not be covered on like on stream. And then another one would be like, we were talking about having there be like weekly recaps. So you could actually follow with what's happening regardless of whether you watched or not. I can't type. Maybe like easier guide to know which VODs to look into. Now that we've got the VODs going on YouTube, they'll be permanent. Hey, we got a hype train going. Choo choo. Thank you so much, Danger. Thanks for that. Hey, Platformer. Thank you so much for the follow as well. And P6IV, P6LV, thank you so much. Patrons should be desirable to YouTube and Twitch followers, even if you're an addict. Yeah, fair enough. So I think this is like, I think this is all fine. It sounds like we've basically got it. If we're doing tiers for Patreon, it'll probably look like this then. T1, T2, T3. Are there any things that like you would want? No, maybe not. I was thinking about like, what would a tier 3 YouTube member look like? Right now, I don't think there's anything that we can offer you to be a member that would be higher than everybody else. For like, if someone wanted to be a member for like $15 a month or something like that, like what could I offer you? I guess the answer would be go to Patreon at that point. Like maybe we just keep the subs, the sub rewards at like tier 1, and then everything else is Patreon. if you want extra access to stuff. If you want your names in the credits, if you want extra behind the scenes content, you just go to Patreon. Okay. So then you're kind of like, we think of it like this then. The community tiers are YouTube members, Twitch subs, and then Patreon tiers above that. And we can think of it this way. So what do we have? We have stream perks, itch.io, community updates, BTS content, name in credits, Discord role. These are the things that we currently have. So it ends up being something like this. The Discord role gets given to everybody. Ah, I see. Hang on. Sorry, this has now become okay. Sorry. Oh shoot. Level 3? How did we hit level 3 so quickly? You guys, thank you so much. Choo-choo! 500 bits, Batty. Thank you so much. Virtue versus Vice. Thank you so much for the raid. Batty, thanks for the sub. Danger BK, thank you so much. Internet Tito, thank you so much. You guys are amazing. So everybody gets a Discord role here. Patrons get their names in the credits. Maybe we get community updates for everybody on Patreon, or they could just be free. Behind the scenes content. Maybe we do some of this stuff a month early, like we release it, but it's timed exclusive. Maybe itch.io assets are free for everybody on Patreon. And then stream perks, that's everybody at their level. And then we've got alpha access. Maybe that's like this. What do you think? I feel like everybody should get behind the scenes content. Like it's not even, this is like general public kind of stuff. Maybe a week, you think? So the BTS is supposed to be spicy, not for everybody. You think so? Okay. You don't get it unless you're a tier 3. Do we even need a tier 3 Patreon? Maybe. I feel like at tier 3, it's kind of like we're starting to head into like above the $10 point. And I'm not sure if there's anything that I can give you like as an individual. Maybe it's like I do want the alpha access. Okay, let's call this like priority alpha. This is like, I think what do we call this? We'll call this like priority alpha, like, oh, like the smallest circle. Yeah, general, VIP, and then just I just think that if this is based on like, oh, do you know what? We'll call this. Do you know what this is? This will be, it'll be the nature of what we're testing. So this is quest data. This would be enemies. And this would be basics. I feel like, and maybe we could bump some of this stuff all the way up. Maybe like chapter? Oh my gosh. That would be a lot of... I don't think we would do that. But my only issue with discounts, which I would love to do, is I feel like that's better poised as a Kickstarter reward than a Patreon tier. Because I feel like the things that I want to give patrons are ongoing things. I don't want to give them a one-off thing, because then there's weird incentives around how long you're a patron for. Like if I'm a patron for just 1 month, then I'll pay for this now and I'll get this thing and then I'll stop my patronage. I prefer you to say like, I know I'm going to get access to this for perpetuity while I'm a patron, and these are the things that I can enjoy over time to stay with the project, rather than just like show up and leave. Whereas Kickstarter is more like a, hey, like let's make an investment now and we'll get something later. I feel like the behind the scenes content... The hard thing about this is that what these access tiers do is they mean that I have to be making content on stream. Like I'll be making the whole game on stream, right? So if I'm working on a main quest, you'll all be seeing it. So is it really about limiting access? Like if I'm doing a main, it feels a bit weird. Maybe there are only 2 patron tiers. Maybe there's just nothing I can give you. I'm not sure. I'm gonna get this right. Yeah, it's a good question, PS. It's a good question. Actually, I do have an answer for that I like. I think that there is some alpha content that is spoiler content. And I think if you're the kind of person who cares about supporting the game's development at the level of depth where you would spend almost as much as the game's price, like if the game's 30 Australian dollars and you've supported the game, the project, for like $30 over, a couple of months or something, like you probably don't care about spoiling the game for yourself. Like, you're probably going to play it and enjoy it, and you might be I feel like those people, I don't mind if they want to spoil themselves on the game. Like, if you're at that point where you're a super fan, like, by all means, like, I'm happy to open up the doors a little bit for you because you're making the game happen. Whereas, like, if you're a Twitch sub and your contribution is just mostly because you like to watch the stream and you like to check it out, but the game's kind of interesting, and maybe when the game comes out, you'll play it, but you don't want to spoil too much. Like, many of you don't want to be spoiled. Then I feel like limiting what you have access to for the alpha is kind of, feels more appropriate. I don't know. I'm mostly just trying to think of reasons that I can reward people who want to get closer to the project. You know what I mean? I want to give people a reason to get more invested and more hyped around the project. I do think that this content, like enemies, I think that I feel like Twitch subs should be able to fight enemies. I feel like that's a big part of the game, and I want you guys to be able to experience it. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Juan. That's really kind. Hey, Coach. Thanks for the follow. I think Waves is good. Wait, first Waves... I think that... I see it like this. I think that... I don't know if there's that much of a reason. Like for me, the waves of alpha access, Yeah, yeah, maybe. I mean, we could do patrons first. I think that there should be a tier above that with spoiler content. I don't think that I would normally be putting spoiler content in the alpha, but I would do it for these people. No, I don't think you need 50. I don't think you need 50 people. Wow, it failed again. I wonder why. What is this problem? Peak allocation bytes, memory leaks, version 2 failure. It usually fails higher up, I think. Build fail with code 133. Aborting batch mode due to failure. Scripts have compiler errors. The game doesn't compile. Well, that's one way to fail a build. Oh my gosh. It doesn't compile. The game doesn't work. Jeez Louise, Adam. No, I really think that paying playtesters will give valuable feedback. And valuable feedback in this case is really just giving your impressions in a survey. Like when we're talking about valuable feedback, what we're really talking about is just filling out a form. Did you enjoy this aspect of the game? Did you find it easy to get into? Did you find it intuitive? If you can press a button, you're giving valuable feedback. Now, if we're talking about, short answers to specific problems that you had, like the camera gave me motion sickness or whatever, because I don't like the way that it did this or that. Sure, that's fine. That's deeper, but I don't expect... this is valuable to me still. No. I'm not saying I'm paying for QA. I'm saying people who are specifically supporting the stream to get access to the alpha. I expect that they'll give, decent feedback. Like, why would you... Do you know what I mean? Is that not a reasonable assumption? Hey, Pipe Guy. Thank you so much. Yeah, like it's like going in line to watch Star Wars and then not watching it. Hey, Lazy. Lazy says, I suggest you don't have a middle option, e.g. 4, not 5. If you let people pick a middle, they'll tend to pick that when they're torn. Instead, force them to pick good versus bad. Do you think so? You really think so? Just 4 options? I think 5 is okay. I feel like meh is valid to me. Do you guys agree? I don't know. Because I don't want people to just give me positive feedback because they can't... Like... Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want you to give me positive feedback because it's the closest thing to what you think. Do you know what I mean? Maybe 6. Maybe 6. I could see that. What good is a 3 out of 5? It tells me... What do you mean? Why does it tell me nothing? It tells me that the person didn't have a positive or negative impression. Why is fence sitting bad? That's my question. What's wrong if the thing didn't move you in either direction? If it's like, well, it was fine. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. That's valid, no? Like if we look at the question specifically, right? I found basic movement to be easy. How does a 3... A 3 to me says, I don't know, it wasn't easy, but I got it. What do you reckon? No? I mean, a 5-point test it's very tried and true, no? People don't put thought into it. Do you think being a game dev is as hard as being a manga author? I think it's harder, personally. A 3 means they couldn't decide. Make them decide. It was easy or it wasn't. Hello. Hey pals, I'm gonna take a break. I'll be back in a little bit. You can debate this in the chat while supporting the stream by watching an ad. See you in a little bit. I'll be back in like 5. Okay, we're back. Hello. Whew. Welcome, everyone. Let me read something here. Yeah, it's an interesting discussion. My point is, I guess, when I see this, I'm just gonna have my little piece on this little topic here. If someone said, "Was this easy?" Okay, and I can't say yes, but I don't want to say that it wasn't. That's when the 3 would show up, right? And as the reviewer of that, that's not a problem for me. But I might like an explanation. I might like to hear why they couldn't feel positively about it. But what I don't want people to do, what I don't want players to do, is only see 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, let's say there's no 5, and go 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't want them to think, well, I have to say I liked it because I don't have anything specifically wrong with it. I don't want them to do that. Because if there is a part of them that's like, well, it just wasn't quite, it didn't push my buttons. There was something about it that I can't articulate that I didn't like, but I don't want to force myself to say I didn't like it because it wasn't really that bad. Then I'm okay with interpreting a 3 as that. I'm okay saying, like, let's just say like I get 100 points of feedback, right? 100 people give answers to this question, and 10% of them hate it. Okay, and they give really strong answers, and 60% of them say 3, and then let's just say 20% of them say 5, and the rest are in the middle. I see those 3s and I think, I wonder if the things that are making some people hate it are the same things that these people are experiencing, but just to a lesser degree. Like, I take the feedback as an aggregate. So, like, I'm okay with giving you the out of saying 3 if you aren't able to articulate yourself, because the rest of the feedback will articulate for you. Other people will be able to articulate the problems. Once there's a problem, you'll hear people repeat it. Right? So it's not that there's something that you need to tell me that I won't know unless you tell me, and so I have to force you to say it was good or bad. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like an agnosticism is okay. You know what I mean? It's like when people say you can't be an agnostic atheist, you know? When people say that, it's like, well, it's okay if you don't have an answer for this question. Like, if you can't like give me a strong yes or no, I can't force you, because otherwise I'm biasing your answer, right? I'm making you give me an answer that you wouldn't otherwise give, and I'm going to get a false impression of your feedback. Being a Gnostic atheist is a weak position. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, this is all just theory. This is like UX testing theory, and I don't know how to. There's no world where we can explore both pathways at the same time, and say consistently whether one is better than the other, because we won't know, because we have to pick one option. I think people are more familiar with the 5 point, so I might just go with it and just, if it's not ideal, well, neither are the other 50 million surveys that are around the world right now. And I don't want to do half-half. Just on that atheist thing, just a little final thing on that. What I would call the thing that the better way to describe that argument that I would like to say is that I consider myself an agnostic, not an atheist. And some people say you can't be, just briefly. Some people say yes, but one is a claim about what you believe and one is a claim about what you know. So you can't just be an agnostic, right? If you either believe or you don't. And being an agnostic is just a claim about what you think you know, whether you can know or you can't. So if you don't know, is that what it is? Hang on 1 second. Yeah, an agnostic says I don't know, but theist versus atheist says I believe or I don't. Now, what I would say is that it's possible to be a pure agnostic. It's possible to say I can't know, therefore I don't have a position. And so that's what I think the same thing applies with these surveys. I think it's possible to say, I don't know. It wasn't the camera. Let's just say in this instance here, I found the camera to be intuitive and fluid. If you literally don't remember your experience of the camera, I don't need you to say whether or not you felt it to be fluid or not fluid. I don't need you to say, I hated it or I loved it, because it was invisible to you. I didn't notice that it was good or bad. And you might interpret, different people might interpret these to be different. But again, I would have to be taking the feedback on the aggregate. Mafk says, atheists don't believe that there is no God. They don't believe there is a God, and there's an important difference. But a pure agnostic, in my personal belief, is this: I can't even address the question. I can't even have a belief. And if you were to say to me, but that's fine. All you have to do is reject all of the gods that we have. Right? Like, do you believe in Zeus? If the answer is no, then you're an atheist to Zeus. Do you believe in that Jesus Christ is the one Lord and Savior? If the answer is no, then you're atheist to that. And if you're an atheist to all of those gods, then you are an atheist, right? You could say that. But I would say, no, I literally don't have an answer for you. I can't tell you that I don't believe, because I don't not believe. Like, I don't go about my day. I was raised Catholic, right? I don't practice faith. I don't go around saying God is real and I will act as if he is real. And I don't go around thinking God is not real and therefore I can act however I want, knowing that he's not real. I kind of act about the thought of God the same way that I act about whether or not it's going to rain. It's like, maybe I'll take an umbrella today. I don't know. That's kind of how I feel about it. It's like, I don't actively believe, but I don't not believe either. I sort of just don't know. And I don't claim to have enough data to make a decision. So I just kind of go, I suppose I'll just sort of, yeah. Like, I don't know. I don't act in one consistent way all the time. I can buy an argument one way or another and ask me on a different day and I'll give you a different answer. I might not go to church, but that's not to say that sometimes I think to myself, God, if you're real, please do this for me. Sometimes I talk to the God that I claim not to believe in. What is that? This is Unity, Aiden. Welcome. Like, I feel like everybody behaves that way. I feel like unless you're like a straight up practicing theist, even if you're like mostly an atheist in your heart, you still kind of, if you were brought up in religion, you kind of go, just in case, I don't want to fully reject this. You know what I mean? That's how I feel. It's like, I don't know. There's no reason to get all decisive about it. If you were truly agnostic, the gamble you're taking is huge. Yeah, it is huge. No, actually, I don't think it's huge because I don't even claim to know the bounds of the question. Right? Like I don't even know what it is I'd be gambling. Swizz has got it right, actually. Like when you say, hey, but there's either eternal bliss or suffering or nothing. If you think there might be eternal bliss and suffering, you should act as if it's true. But there might be something in the middle. Like, I don't know. It's like the difference. It's like saying null is not the same as 0 or -1 or 1. It's not infinity either. Null is just null. And you can't do anything with null to bring it back to programming. You can't treat null as if it's 0 or negative infinity or positive infinity. It's just null. I don't. The question's dumb. No, Rollosaurus. It's just, we just got sidetracked. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of an absurd thing. It's like an absurdism thing. It's like, I don't know, dude. Life's crazy. Who knows what afterlife is? We just moved to Detroit. No, like, I don't even know, because like, this is the thing, like, if you're gonna say, like, oh, there might be eternal paradise, or there might be eternal damnation, and I should act one way or another. It's like, but who are you believing? Like, whose conception of what those things are you using to inform your decision? And are those authorities real authorities? If you don't know, if you can't validate the authority for the definition of what the afterlife is, then what are you actually basing your choice on? Okay, so this is the itch version. There's already bugs. But this is the most playable version of the alpha that we have so far. The only thing that's broken with it, there's a couple things that are broken. There's no ending. That's the only thing. You can't leave. So I need an exit. But for those of you who have access, hey Rollosaurus, thank you so much for the sub. For those of you who have access, you can access it now and tell me what you think. Especially if you haven't played it already. The button prompts should be very helpful for you. It's Hotel California. Who's supposed to have access? Whoever was here yesterday who got the password. Basically. If you want, I mean, you can jump in if you want. Does someone want to post the URL and the password? For now, you can jump in. There's no mouse, there's just keyboard, no mouse. Lazy Guru deleted it. Then Swizz tried to answer it. You can, no. You guys can post it. That's so funny. All right. Okay, so it's good. It's worth asking the question. Is there a dark theme? That would be really nice. Background dark. That's not dark. What? Okay. So I reached the end, yes or no? I found the movement to be easy. So this is the question. Is the thing that I want your feedback on whether or not it was easy? Or whether or not it was a problem? If I ask you a bunch of stuff about problems that you had, then you'll only give me... I won't know if you liked it. If I ask you if you liked it, what about if I ask about like your expectations and whether or not it met your expectations rather than easy? Yeah, I don't know if I can put those optional comment boxes. How do I do that? Because I'm sure that I've done it before. And right now, I've had to do it this way. Like, if you answered negatively to the previous question, blah, blah, blah. But is there a way to bind a question to another one? So that only if you answer at a certain threshold, then you get the... You think it's the sections? I see. That doesn't seem right. How do I undo that? Yeah, Batty, unfortunately, it's not on the Android store right now. It will be, hopefully, soon. But the most recent version, I've unfortunately had to change the way that it works. Where I've had to strip ads out because the ad system that's in there now is not compatible with the current API. It had been fixed and then they rejected it for like 4 different reasons over time. Every time I fixed something, they'd reject a different part of it. And where I left it was like, I'm just going to gut the ads out and I'm going to put a different system in there for access. I'm like maybe a day or two out from doing that, but I'd have to spend a day or two on it. And we haven't budgeted for a day or two to be spent on it. So I feel bad, but that's what I'm trying to do. But there are parts of the game that rely on ads, like the merchant in the game. You watch ads to get currency. So I'm having to take that out. And there's just a bit of stuff that I need to rejig just to get it to be a functional game without the ads. Thanks, Amace. If you make it multiple choice, you can make it jump section to section. Is that right? But isn't this... Oh, this is... Okay, multiple choice grid. Require a response in each row. Does it though? Or... Oh, I see. So the other is like... Yeah. I think what it's like... But this isn't really a Y, is it? It's sort of different. There's also go-to section based on answer. Yeah. Okay. So then we make this the linear scale, So it's like okay, so it's like what were your impressions of the movement? Characters. I found them easy to learn. And intuitive. Not a problem. They took longer to get used to than I expected, but something like this. Hey, Richard Zampieri, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome, welcome. Sorry I didn't catch that. And then I can say like, and then go to section based on answer. This would be like, now we have sections. Now I see. Ah. I suppose we could separate it, controls and movement as separate. So let's start with a section. I got it. I got it. So it's like player controls, input, input, yeah, that's what I'm doing. Is there a way to rebind the keys? Technically, yes. Oh, I don't really know if I want it to be like this. No, that's not quite right. So I have like a second question. Gonna leave that hanging. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry. I didn't really understand. If you press start, which is the enter button, the enter key, if you're on keyboard, you can go to settings, press Z, go to controls, and then keyboard, and then you can rebind them here for the local session that you're in, I think. Keep in mind, as you rebind them, like the function of these keys will change. Okay, so the accept button is the jump button. So if you change what jump is, you need to press confirm using the next thing that you do. Right. So if you change jump to Q is now the accept button for all of the different rebinds that you do. If you change the down button, in order to navigate down, you need to press that button. Okay? Well, you shouldn't have the dagger. What are you doing with the dagger? That's not part of the demo. That's not in the test. I might lock the start menu off. All right. Let's continue. So, what, if any, I suppose that's fine. That way you could probably still write an answer, even if you said you found them intuitive. But now I wonder if these questions are even relevant. Like now that we're back here again, it's like, why not just make them positive or negative? Why not just give you three things? I liked them, they were okay, I didn't like them. Yeah, I think I want a sliding scale. Then this would be, I found the... We go back to where we were. I found the inputs for the character controller to be intuitive. Disagree. Agree. Yeah, it doesn't have to be negative. It's weird that they don't have just like an extra text field on all these questions. Like that the form doesn't allow for a text description. I'll just say comments then. But that feels a little forceful. That's fine. I think that's okay. Do you like my game? Yeah, in which case we'll make this linear as well. I think I know. I think this is how I want it to be. Now, thoughts on 5-point versus 3-point scale? Dave H wants the 4-point. Seven-point scale. Neutrality is for cowards. 5. It's alright. I'm basically there already. Alright. Everyone wants 5. Tried and true. It's fine. We've already been there. We've already been down that road. I found the player movement behavior to be fun. To be fluid. To be unintrusive. Unobtrusive? That's too, if I have to look it up, that's too complicated of a word. Four and two basically say to me that I could do better, but I get to decide what better is. That's how I think about it. If it's not clear feedback, it's just something can be just kind of and I get it. I know what that means. Okay, that's good. You didn't like the walkling? Really? How would you expect the walkling to behave? There needs to be questions about you first. Thanks, guys. Thanks. Discard all the Scorpio responses. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I just don't know how important it is to get, like, if are they really, do I really care if a player says I don't like wall clinging? You know, like, that's not really a question that I feel like I could do anything with, because the game's going to have it in it. But it might help me discard the answers if people say they don't like it. But at the same time, like, that's not, I feel like it's not that useful to go down that deep. Games that I enjoy could be described as having... No. I've enjoyed games that have had features. Tick. Check. Select the features you have found enjoyable in games. I think your favorite games. Option 5. Oh yeah. I'll be addressing that, Miyoki. That was deliberate, but I don't think I'll keep it. Maybe for a platformer child, but that may be just what I'm going for. I wouldn't say that's negative necessarily. I've had to slow it down for the sake of the combat. It was too fast for a long time. It meant that the combat was... It basically reduced the combat to being able to run away from enemies if I made it faster. Imagine Dark Souls if you could run 4 times faster. You know? Okay, I think these things apply to Insignia in some fashion. Or at least could apply, depending on what the player is looking for. I think that's pretty clear. As far as the movement is concerned. Can I add questions to this later? To a form like this? Is it possible to save the form? I'm aware of Smack Studio, yeah. Okay. Then let's just say these 3 questions are good for now. Okay. Send, let's copy a link. Copy. And then let's put this in the game. So... No, a sprite's basically for pixels. Alright. I want to define a door. And I need to know... Yeah, that's what it'll do. It'll take you to the form when you exit. Exactly. You're not wrong. But what's important is that I keep the test around so I know what test you've come from. So if I go test selection menu, okay. Test button script. Okay. So here we need to assign a singleton. Hey, I'm in New South Wales. I'm in Sydney. Basically like that. I think game system. It's got to be game system actually. Okay, so then Thanks. Thanks, Dav. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is, right now, we could just open it up. Yeah, that's right, Chartle. So this needs to have access to scene management. Hey, thank you so much. No more definitions. Hey, Mayoki. WASD is a very niche, in my opinion, way of doing side-scrolling controls. I don't think that WASD is, maybe niche is the wrong word, but it's definitely not what I would consider primary or historically the way that side-scrolling controls work. Maybe Terraria would be the one example that I think is what people, where WASD for side-scrolling controls comes from. Hey, Cosmodius, welcome. Like, I respect it, and the game gives you the option to remap the controls. And you can change them. There's an option there. And the game has controller support. But when you say what every game ever that's ever existed, if you play an indie game that's a side-scroller, that's pixel art, I would guess that the majority of them use arrow keys for movement and ZXC for options. At least Owlboy, Iconoclasts. Yeah, if there's no mouse, I don't see why you would have WASD. But if I can be clear for you guys, you will have the option. I might do like a preset, okay? You might be able to pick a preset at the beginning of the game, WASD or arrow keys. Okay. At the moment, I only have one binding. Okay. That's unfortunately the way that the game is right now. Because if I want to do input prompts, I don't want to, if there are like 4 different buttons, do you want me to show you 4 different buttons that you can use to press left or right? I don't think so. So what do you do in this game? It's a side-scrolling action adventure. There's combat, there's platforming, there are quests, dungeons. Like, I don't have a problem with people using WASD, but I'm not going to make the main way that you interact with it explicitly WASD and not arrow keys just because someone is passionate about it. Like this, with one button, if it's one button bound to the jump button, it's very clear what that's supposed to be. I can detect it, but that's not what's happening right now. It's possible, yes. I could have profiles that you flip between and the button prompts reflect whichever button you last pressed. So if you last pressed W, then up, down, left, right becomes W. Sure. That's fine. But up until like a month ago, I was using ASD for different buttons. I was using A and D for the shoulder buttons on the controller. So it was like up, down, left, right was arrow keys. ZXC was this. S was this button. And then A and D were these buttons. So you couldn't use WASD and the arrow keys because the action buttons were both 2 rows. Now, maybe it's okay because I've got shift and control for those buttons. But like, it's not really, I don't really care about your opinions on this topic right now if you don't have insight over to the rest of the game's gameplay mechanics. Like, this isn't Celeste, so it's not just about how you like to move around. You've got to also be able to press a bunch of different buttons in other scenarios. And if you've got experience of like the game full, sure, we could talk about it. But just in this context, it's not a question of like, oh, I prefer this from this other game. Like, it's what works for this game is what works for this game. I care a little bit, but I don't care that much. Okay, Mayoki, but if you can't accept that it's an alpha test, it's not a beta test. I can't have already built the game to your needs, right? I can't have already done that. So maybe that's something that I can't support your interests until I build that feature, and then I can do it, right? But if it's not, like, I respect what you're saying. I'm not trying to say you're wrong for having your opinion. I'm just saying I can't support your opinion in this moment. I can't do anything about it right now. And if it's that, I mean, if it's that, what's the word? Repulsive. Like if it hurts that much, like I don't want you to hurt yourself. It's okay, like don't force yourself to. Yeah, like if you have a controller, I recommend you use it. All right, let's not get too bogged down. I'm sorry, I'm getting defensive, but I don't mean to be. I mean, you can give the feedback in the form. You can say, I didn't enjoy the controls because I would prefer them to be WASD. That's totally fine too. Like, it's okay. All right, so we need to be able to get back to the test menu from this scene, which means I probably want to create a scene reference. Pubic. No, I'm using Rewired, which is a third-party system that came out before the new input system. I can support multiple buttons, but I'm not supporting multiple buttons for reasons that aren't just input related. It's more for prompting related. That's why I don't support multiple buttons. The way I've built the game's input reader, not controller input, but player input. The way I've built it currently is that every action has one button. That's how I've built it now. I could change that, but that's just how it is right now. Like the game is built on the idea that there is a controller that you have, and the key bindings map to one of the buttons on the controller. Or for every button on the controller, there is a key binding. That's how it currently is. But I could make it a list. It's just not how that is right now. What is test list menu 1? What is this scene? Yeah, you can rebind them, but right now it doesn't save your preferences the way that it needs to yet. I think it used to save your preferences. There's probably something that I've done to make it not save the preferences. I think because there's no save file associated with the alpha. So I'd have to give you a save file basically, so that it can save your preferences. Like what we're talking about here isn't even that I'm not supporting rebinding. It's just that Maoki wants to not have to rebind when they use the alpha. That's what we're describing. Nope. What? There you go. When I made isometric, how do I do the movement like 2 floor, 3 floor in Godot? I haven't made an isometric game in Godot. Yeah. What we're testing here, in any case, I'm not really testing the onboarding for these systems. I'm not testing... This isn't like necessarily how the game will teach you how to do these things, although it probably is. What we're testing is basically the movement in the camera. That's what this is for. Okay. YouTube chat cannot see Twitch chat. Actually, they can see this, so YouTube chat can see that. But they'd have to be on Twitch to see the full chat. Alright. No more definitions. Thank you so much for the resub. Yeah, and just to be like super duper clear, like the alpha test Like, it's a way for me to build the game in a way that is more attentive to your needs over time. That's the idea. It's that over time, as I'm working on the game, you guys can have more of an influence through your impressions over how I spend that time, so I can make the game more attractive to you. So if there's something that you don't like, your ability to provide the feedback in the feedback form is the point of the alpha. So if you have a negative experience, that's not a knock against the game or the alpha. It's useful feedback that I can use to either change the game towards that feedback or disregard it, you know, if you happen to not be part of the target audience. That's your participation in that is something that I super value. And you know, this isn't the game, you know what I mean? It's specific vertical slices of the game that relate to very, very particular things that we're talking about here, right? One thing at a time. Please make the test screen work with Z by pressing Z to enter. Yeah, right now, it's not, it doesn't do that yet. It doesn't do that yet. You just have to take it on its terms that it works the way that it works because it has to work that way. I would have built it to use the pointer and not the mouse if I could have built it fast. I mean, also, the alpha is not really technically out yet. That's the other thing. We haven't, like, this is you guys, like, seeing me building the alpha test. Okay, so for now, why don't we just open up a URL? Community menu. Okay. Can I make a color bind option for Armin's hair? Gosh. You guys are killing me today. You're trolling me. I'm so... my ego is too fragile for some of this feedback. I love you guys, but I probably shouldn't be doing some of this stuff on stream. Okay, let's see if I can make this work. And we might be able to get the earliest possible alpha tests possible. Okay, here we go. You start the game, you press the thing, you go in, you make your way through, you finish, you get taken to the feedback form. Oh, thank you so much, Liger. There we go. We're in. All right, one more thing. It's all good. Okay. That's it. That's the very, very, very earliest first version. No, actually, do you know what? I think most people who are aware of me are not aware of my game, and most people who are aware of my game don't know what it looks like or how it plays or what it's about. I honestly think that's the case. It happens so often that people come in from YouTube and go, I didn't know you were making a game. What's your game about? What kind of game is it? Hey, no more definitions. Thank you so much for the sub. D4 Yiku, thank you so much for the sub. Captain Skinner, thank you for the sub. Like, people don't know about the game. They jump in, they see some tutorials, they see that I've got some game, but they don't really think much of it because they're going on their way and doing other stuff. The accent? So familiar. You can't tell what accent this is? Wait, P, can I ask you, where are you from? Hey, Stronhammer. Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate ya. Alright, so... do you guys think that there should be like a button to go to the feedback form? Have you considered updating the end card? Yeah, I'll probably put ads for the game, like trailers basically at the end of my videos, once there is a trailer. Oh, burner person. That's so nice. Have you considered updating the end card? Yeah, it would require manual editing, I think. Like, right now, you just get taken directly to the feedback form. Did GitHub Actions ever approve of your fix? I don't know what you mean, Liberator. Well, right now, I've almost framed it so that, like, you're saying, like, by going through this door, you do this. Do you know what I mean? The automation kept failing? Yeah, we fixed it. There was a compile error. There was literally a compile error in it. So the script wasn't compiling. Because right now, like, if you finish... oh, you think it should say, like, go to browser? Or, like, opens in browser? Well, you're already in the browser. That's how you got there. That's how you got here. Well, it's more about that I had designed it so that once you finish the thing, there's a little, like, complete. But, like, do I even need this? That's the question, really. Like, hooray, you did the thing. Now, go back to here. This originally, I thought that this might have some stats about your experience, but I don't know if I should be incentivizing you to, like, min-max stats. Like, time spent in the alpha. I don't think I want you speedrunning it, unless it's specifically a speedrunning challenge. You know what I mean? Like, unless I absolutely want to gauge how fast players are, the tests should be open-ended. So I don't think you should see anything. I think it should just be like, hey, good job, you finished it. Let's go immediately ask you questions. Because, like, I don't even want you to consent to the feedback form. You know what I mean? Like, you've consented to the feedback when you started playing the alpha test. So like, of course, the next thing you do is answer questions from here. That feels a little rough, but it might just be in the interest of like not feeling jarring. I might give you a button that says complete, and then you just press go or whatever. But I don't want people to finish playtesting and then not submit feedback, especially the first time they do it. I would rather them just like get taken to the feedback form. That's right, Australian. Did you say where you were from, P? I'm really curious. Oh, you're from Australia. Wait. You're from Australia and I'm from Australia, and you couldn't tell that I was from where you're from? Please do the button for the sake of sanity. All right. It's just another scene, that's all. Or maybe it'll be an overlay. South Australia. Yeah, but how is South Australia any different from New South Wales? I don't say dance, but other than that, I don't say castle. But you guys talk the same way we do. I've met heaps of people from Adelaide. High Aussie accent. Ah! Hey, Earthtide, how's it going? Constant says, by the way, I'm curious about the name of the memo app. That's Figma. I don't think South Australians speak any differently than I do. Do you know what? Sometimes I think about the fact that my accent is kind of like a little bit Western Sydney. Like, it's a little bit, there's some ethnic something in there, because that's where I'm from. So maybe there's a bit of, you know, a bit of, how you doing? In that. Don't even get me started on Australian accents. I don't think that, people have this idea that Australia has 3 accents. Like, it's like cultivated, general, and broad or something. I can't stand that classification. I think it's dumb. Sup, Momo? Because I can name like 15 accents in Sydney alone, and they don't fit that categorization. They're just like different cultural accents or accents related to age or class. Some of them are class-based. All right. So how are we going to get this button in here then? I guess it would be like maybe something that looks like this, that just appears on the screen. Do I have like other menus? Menu? To be honest with you guys, I'm going to do this tomorrow because it's the end of the stream and I'm too tired. It's too hot. So I'm just kind of waiting for the builds to happen and then we can move on. You can come back tomorrow and there'll be an overlay and we'll have a bit more of a subtle and more full testing feedback form. I guess before we get too deep into it, maybe it's worth me checking the rest of the game and seeing where we might find, if there are any, other platforming, like basic platforming alpha beats or like challenges. I don't know what the word is. Things that you can do I mean, right now, not really. It's basically just wall jumping, one-way ledges. Sorry, one-way platforms, ledges. It's basically like that. There are enemies that you can bounce on and stuff like that, but those won't be in this test. I don't know. You have a nice... Oh, thank you so much. No, I'm being... Isn't Randy Australian? Yeah, Randy's Australian. But, like, I would say Randy's accent verges on American sometimes. I mean, it's Aussie, but he has an affectation that's a bit American sometimes. Almost like a New York. Like a Bronxy kind of thing that he does. Doesn't matter. I appreciate it. I think my accent actually probably has been affected by streaming, because I probably enunciate certain things in ways that I try to say things in ways people will understand, because I get a bit insecure that they won't understand me if I say them the way Aussies do. How far are we? Oh, we finished the build. Oh, that's good. Is it expensive to build on GitHub? We'll find out in the next couple of days. All right, so for those of you, this is going to finish up in a second. Now it's going to deploy. I don't think it's expensive. I think you get 3 minutes as long as you're not using large runners. I'm using a large runner for this because I needed more than 2 gigabytes of RAM to build Insignia. It's too big. So I'm actually paying for it. But there is a free tier, and if you're doing just jam games, it's fine. All of the jam games that I've made have been small enough. So. Can you show me what you think a thick Aussie accent sounds like? I mean, if you want to talk in a more Aussie way, you might talk like this. With an upward inflection at the end of your sentences. This is kind of like what you'd call like bogan. This is bogan Australian. You don't have to push the library folder, but it will create one for you. It'll import the whole project and build a library folder on the runner while it's trying to build it. You can't compile the game without building one because it has to import all the shaders and the scripts and all that stuff. You don't push the library folder. Okay. Or maybe you could push it, but it's very large. So, first test. Huh? Okay, no, it's still good. Ta-da! And then if we go back to the game. It loads it and then crashes the game. Perfect. I wonder why it crashes it. That's so funny. All right. Well, for those of you who have access, feel free to provide some feedback if you want, and I'll take it into account. I already kind of know what the problems are, but I'm actually more interested in seeing the feedback change over time as I address the issues that I have. You don't need to reach the end question anymore. Huh? Did I miss something? Oh, this should be required. Yeah. Thank you. Early UI or mechanics, or it's in the feedback form. My feedback's mostly on, for this is a platforming test. That's what this is. When you run in to the game, when you go into it and you start, player control test. So there should be a description. I'll put that in the to-do list. Where are we going? We're going here. So it's basically just that I need to do these basically. That's basically what it is, basically. This and this. I'm going to add those tonight, I guess, or tomorrow morning. And then that should be good. Okay. Well, hopefully tonight I can set up the Patreon tiers for access, and we can set up a whitelist and a Discord channel, and our YouTube memberships for the stream. And I think that's it, pals. I think that's where we're at. Thank you so much for watching. If you like my content, you should become a sub or a member, or join us on Patreon. Let's go raid somebody in software and game dev. Prismatica dev? Alright, sorry for my... I don't know what the word is. I feel I've been a little bit grumpy today. I've been low on sleep and it's quite hot, so I've been a bit irritable. But I hopefully will get some rest tonight, and should be good after that. Okay. Alrighty, let's try this again. /raid Prismatica dev, was it? Yeah, okay. Cool. Alright, pals. If you like my content and you're not on YouTube already, check out the YouTube channel. If you want to become a patron, that's the link. And that's the stream. As always, I've been Adam, you've been the Pixel Pals. This has been the Indie Tales Game Dev live stream. Until next time.